Welcome back everyone to NASCAR Nation. Now Bubba Wallace has had yet another upsetting weekend during the Circuit of the Americas race in Austin, Texas. He did not finish the race for the third time this season so far, and this made him very irritated and disappointed in himself, to the point where he said in an interview that he needs to be replaced.
2 weeks in a row making rookie mistakes, 6 years in the Cup, need to be replaced.
This sparked many reactions among fans and drivers. Dale Earnhardt Jr., for example, slammed back at him saying he is pulling a Chase Elliott Asking to be fired. We will talk about this drama in this video, but first please subscribe and leave a like to show your support for the video content. So what happened? At the Circuit of Americas event, Bubba Wallace had a huge run on Ross Chastain. During the 11th lap, Wallace crashed into turn 12, but also collided with Erik Jones and Kyle Larson, causing significant damage to his Toyota. The incident resulted in a broken oil line, forcing Wallace to end his day on the track. He was unable to complete the event, and that made him very upset. Everyone didn't think much of this whole situation at first, but it was how Wallace reacted to his accident during his Fox Sports interview that garnered the attention of the NASCAR fans. It seemed like his frustrations boiled over after he got out of the car. So when he was in that Fox interview, he gave some really harsh criticism of himself. He called the incident a rookie mistake and went far to say that he should be replaced. He said, "So I got a run on Ross out of turn 11, and I had this conversation with myself. I was like, Ross is pretty good at these places. Don't overdrive the corner and blow through it, right? And so I get 3/4 of the way down the straightaway, and I poke out to see like where we're at because I'm kind of fixated. That was my problem. I got fixation on Ross's car. But I was like, we're close to the braking marker, I believe, and as soon as I got back in line, he brakes and I was like, oh shoot, I'm going to clean him out." He then added, "So I turned left, and when I did that, the way our cars are set up, you're on the right rear shocks. So hard, it loaded and it locked up the rears, and then next thing you know, I looked like Larson at Indy. It's just, it was gone. And I piled into Larson, piled into the 43, just all trying not to wreck the one car. In short, I should have done that because a lot of people would have been happy with me for wrecking the one." After the crash, it was evident that Wallace was emotional and being tough on himself. He expressed that he was trying his best not to fall into a state of self-doubt, and mentioned that he had made rookie mistakes 2 weeks in a row. He must have had a lot of self-doubts after he finished the race early in Austin last Sunday. However, his mother, Desiree Wallace, had some positive, encouraging words for him before his next ride on the race at Richmond Raceway. The 29-year-old driver said that his mother advised him that if he desired change, he needed to change himself. Consequently, he said that he had been taking steps to improve himself by working out, eating better, and striving for a more positive mindset.
All positive, all uplifting, for sure. I question myself, sitting on the plane or sitting in the car waiting to get on the plane of like, why am I in this headspace right now after coming into this year with the most confidence I ever had? And I think I realized like I was solely riding on confidence, not putting the work effort into being where I wanted to be. We put a lot of effort going into COTA, but just from the races before that, you're just kind of riding on confidence. And, we've kind of had an up and down start to the year, but realizing like I got to work hard. I got to be a better person.
As a result of these changes, he believed that the race at Richmond Raceway would be a positive experience for him and his team. Finally, that stuck with me. He said, "Usually I'm like, thanks mom, but there are a lot of unanswered texts I had, unanswered phone calls I had, but I read every single one of them, and I listened to all the voicemails and I appreciate them. The better your physical health, the better your mental health," he said. This was a wake-up call for him, as road course racing has been a hard battle for him previously, but last weekend he and teammate Tyler Reddick were at the top of the board for portions of practice. Wallace qualified 11th for the race. COTA was shaping up to be a solid weekend for him. That's why he feels harshly about himself, because he feels like he disappointed many of his fans. This made Dale Earnhardt Jr. slam Bubba Wallace for overreacting, as he called it. stating that he observed similarities between Chase Elliott and Bubba Wallace. He said he pulls a Chase Elliott asking to be fired. His behavior is somewhat similar to what Chase Elliott used to do early on in his career. The 48-year-old driver mentioned that Bubba Wallace probably didn't believe that about himself, and he believed that he was emulating Chase Elliott's behavior. According to him, Elliott used to say negative things about himself despite running well, such as claiming that he was terrible and had let his dad down. Assuming that Wallace is following in Elliott's footsteps, there is potential for him to achieve similar success by demonstrating comparable character. Nonetheless, Dale Jr. provided an explanation for what the driver of the 2311 Racing was attempting to convey through his remarks. He said, "And I don't think he really feels that way, but he wants us to all know that he's upset, that he doesn't think that's good enough. I think he feels to a point like, yeah, I have let my team down, and I didn't win the race, and they think that the car is good enough, and I didn't get it done. But I don't think Bubba Wallace genuinely thinks that he needs to be replaced." The thing is, though, even if Wallace did feel sad about his incident, he still laughed it off at the end. Before leaving the Fox interview, Wallace did have a sense of humor about his mistake, saying, "I should have done that because a lot of people would have been happy with me wrecking them one," and then laughed at his own joke. So while Wallace's recent crashes might have impacted his confidence, his dedication to working on himself and his skills is a positive sign. With the support of his team and his commitment to self-improvement, he could very well overcome these challenges and achieve great success in the future. The world of motorsports is notoriously competitive and unforgiving. One small mistake can make the difference between a win and a loss, or worse, between finishing the race and being forced to retire. For drivers like Bubba Wallace, with 6 years in the series, it kind of is a bad look to retire early in the race. His recent struggles in NASCAR have not gone unnoticed. His early exit from the race in Austin and subsequent comments about himself have caused some concern among his fans and fellow drivers. However, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s comparison to Chase Elliott and explanation of Wallace's mindset provided a more nuanced perspective on the situation. It seems that Wallace is kind of being overly critical of himself, but he is challenging himself to be better. This attitude is a hallmark of successful drivers in the sport, and with continued dedication and support from his team, Wallace has the potential to achieve great things on the track. What do you think about Bubba Wallace and his actions these past couple weeks? Let us know in the comments down below, and please like and subscribe for this video and more NASCAR Nation updates.
Sponsored by Credit One Bank, and make a mark on where the start-finish line way back through the tri-oval.